Hello and welcome, future Dolphins. Congratulations on your recent admission to our school. My name is Lindsay and I'm a fourth year student here at CSU Channel Islands. Today, we will be highlighting the biology department. And here with us today, we have Dr. Eric Fleming, an assistant professor of biology here at CSU Channel Islands. Hello, Dr. Fleming. How are you?
Hello, it's good to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And before we get started, please, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the biology program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Eric Fleming. I am the chair of the biology program here at CSU Channel Islands.
Awesome. What are the most popular courses and then also like minors or options within the biology major?
That's a good question. What is popular largely depends on the student. We offer a large variety of courses that cover a number of biology subjects, from ecology to neurobiology to microbiology to agriculture to parasitology to even things like science and public policy to scientific illustration and molecular biology. So for each student, we have courses for every student and your interests. So, if you're interested in more of ecology, we've got a number of classes for that. If you're interested in more of a medical field, we've got classes that cover various subjects in the medical field. So there is a lot of classes, and different students are going to be drawn to different ones. Now, having said that, if we're talking about true popularity, the most popular classes that attract the broadest number of students end up being the courses that have international travel. And we have a few classes that are being offered routinely now. And one of them goes to India, one goes to Costa Rica, and another one is even going to the Galapagos Islands. All of them covering different subject matter, and students are very keen to go on participate in those classes and enroll in those courses. Outside that, CSUCI also has a marine station on Santa Rosa Island, and we do have some courses that incorporate going out to the island to do some research out there, to do work out there, and to run classes out there as well. So those end up being very popular as well.
Awesome. Is there any type of academic background that a student should have to enter the major?
The simple answer is no. So our program is set up for pretty much any student from any background to be able to come in and be successful. We do have, with this question, I feel like I need to talk about how our program is set up. So when you do start here, it kind of exactly what's expected of you and kind of what steps you need to take initially so that you can be successful and you don't fall behind just due to, just a lack of understanding. So our major can be broken up into, or at least the courses in our major can be broken up into 4 major categories. We have our lower division core courses, we have our upper division core courses, and then we have our upper division electives. And then the 4th would be these additional science courses that include things like chemistry classes, physics classes, and math courses. Now, as an incoming freshman, there are 4 classes that we definitely want all students to take their first year, and this will set you up for success moving forward. 2 of those courses are introductory biology courses, Bio 200 and 201. They're introductory. Anybody can, from any background, can come in and be successful. They're also prerequisites for many courses above there. All of our upper division courses, you have either Bio 200 or 201 as a prereq. The other 2 courses are the introductory chemistry courses, Chemistry 121 and 122. Those are also prereqs for many upper division courses that you would take. After you have taken those, and if you take them your first year, pretty much the entire catalog opens up to you your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year. So it's very critical that you do take those your first year, so that it allows you to kind of pick your trajectory and to be able to move forward with ease. I will add for students who are a little bit worried about when I said chemistry, we also offer a chemistry course called Chem 105. It is for students who, if you're not feeling very comfortable with your chem knowledge, that's okay. If you come in and you sign up for our first semester of general chemistry, Chem 121, in that first week, you'll be given a placement exam. And during that time, if you pass the exam, you'll stay in 121 and you'll continue on. If say you just don't have a lot of background in chemistry and you don't pass that exam, that's okay. You'll get transferred over to Chem 105, which we'll take, and that'll prepare you to be successful in 121. So we do have mechanisms like that in place to be able to help you be successful as you move up, because everyone here loves biology. We love the background. We want to bring as many people along with us as we go. Outside of that, we do have math courses, Math 150 and Bio 203, which is a biostats class, which are both lower division courses that you can also take in addition to those four classes that I mentioned: Bio 200, Bio 201, Chem 121, and Chem 122.
Okay, awesome. You kind of mentioned this already, but what are the opportunities to participate in hands-on learning in the biology major?
Well, there are many, and we've tried to design it that way. The biology program at CI very much believes in getting as much hands-on experience as possible. That's biology. Biology is about doing it, doing biology and getting your hands wet and getting in there and learning how to do these methodologies to learn how to do stuff. So because of that, most of our courses have a lab component, which will allow you to get some experience doing the different lab techniques that are important for each subfield of biology. In addition to that, we also have a number of faculty that run their own independent research labs on campus. And they every single semester, they bring in new undergraduate students to come in and perform independent research. And this is a kind of an additional opportunity for students to be able to not just, kind of do laboratory experiments like you do in a laboratory setting, which is or in a lab course, which is very useful. But this, you're doing actual fundamental research, cutting edge research with faculty, and you learn, it's like an extra level of being able to kind of get experience doing hands-on experimentation, designing experiments, running experiments, data analysis, all those things. For students who are interested in a medical career, we don't have a lot of stuff on campus for hands-on experience. We do have the courses with the lab components. We do have that. But I would recommend, if you are looking to follow into a medical career, we do have a number of clubs. We have a physicians assistants club, a pre-nursing club, American Medical Student Associations of CI club, and even the biology club to a certain degree. And they have a number of students and they have affiliations with different but if you join these clubs and talk to the students there are associations with outside institutions that help students get hands-on experience by volunteering at hospitals, by getting experience at various clinical settings. So I would recommend getting in touch with those clubs, joining those clubs, because there's a lot of opportunities there that do exist that aren't directly provided by the university.
Awesome. What type of jobs do graduates seek typically upon graduation? I know that's a very broad topic.
It is. For biology, it is very broad. Biology is, there's, as I said, because we offer so many courses, because there's just so many aspects of biology out there, which means you can get a lot of different jobs. And I can kind of address this in two levels. So like I'll first talk about students that immediately after getting their bachelor's what jobs do they get for the students who go and get jobs immediately. And this kind of applies to all any student who would be graduating. Now, one of the common jobs that's available to biology students with a bachelor's in biology are lab technician positions. The most common ones around here are biotech positions and clinical positions. So you'd be doing assays and so forth, either in a clinical setting or at a biotech firm. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There is lab technician jobs with pharmaceutical companies, within the food industry for quality control. There's plenty of jobs doing environmental monitoring. They need biologists who are students who have a bachelor's in biology, who are versed in knowing how to do certain techniques or have the knowledge to be able to learn them. There's plenty of jobs in kind of broadly termed as conservation biology, working as a research assistant or as a lab technician. Again, these jobs are largely through institutions like the Park Service, the U.S. Geological Survey, the EPA, Fish and Wildlife, Bureau of Land Management. So there's a number of government agencies that are doing a lot of monitoring of animals, of plants, and of pollutants in different environments. So there's a number of jobs out there ready for a student or a recent graduate with a biology degree to be able to get immediately. Now, beyond that, like a number of our students do go on to a post-baccalaureate, try to get a post-baccalaureate degree, and there's plenty of other jobs that open up once you get, say, a master's or a PhD or a doctorate in some other field. Many of our students go to physician's assistant school. They go to dental school. They go to med school. Some go into optometry, veterinary medicine. Some are looking to become pharmacists. Some go into forensics. Some go and become epidemiologists. There's a huge number of fields that are out there, but they all require some extra graduate level degree. Outside of the medical field, we have a number of students who go to graduate school to get their PhD and become a researcher in whichever field they're interested in. A number of students go get their teaching credential and become a biology teacher at high school or junior high level. And then there's also a number of students that get jobs in the agricultural sciences. That's a huge thing in Ventura County. We have a large number of businesses we have a very large agribusiness industry in Ventura County. So they're looking for botanists, they're looking for soil scientists, they're looking for pest control managers. There's a number of jobs out there. So anything that you're interested in, you become interested in, there's going to be there is a job that's available for you out there.
How does your program prepare students for grad school?
All right. So again, very good question, because as I was explaining before, a number of our students do enter some graduate program, whether that's like a PhD program at a university, conducting research, or go into med school. So one of the key things we do is our course catalog is set up to support any student following pretty much any career choice, whether it's med school or whether you're going to go get a PhD. Our courses, we offer the courses we offer will support you in that effort. So the main thing is for med school, one of the main things for med school is they have very specific requirements for how much biology you take, how much chemistry you take, how much math you take, how much physics you take. And we offer all those classes. So that's why those courses are in there, is to support students who are going to go follow a medical career. And those are very similar, whether you're going to med school or veterinary school or PA school or dental school. Any of those they're very similar. And then there's always some extra classes. Now, I always recommend, if you're planning to take like a medical follow a medical career path and you want to apply to a medical school, it's always important to look at those schools and see what the requirements are, because they always have those set core courses, but they sometimes will have these extra classes that are in there. And the good news is we offer all those classes, or the vast majority of them. So, and those are ones that you can take as our upper division electives. You have, for the biology major, you need to take 20 units of upper division biology electives. And we offer a number of different courses that will satisfy those. So you just need to know what they are, and then, but we do provide those. But we've had actually, we also, which I mentioned before, we have a number of faculty who are doing independent research on campus, and getting hands-on experience in the lab is always a critical thing for helping you get into med school, for helping you get into graduate school. So the more kind of hands-on lab experience you have, the better, and we provide that. So it's important that when you come here to think about that and know that that's there, and to be prepared to go talk to a faculty member and ask them about their research, and ask them if they would be willing to have you join their lab program. So earlier is always better. To be able to be a part of that lab for, say, 2 years or so is always very useful, and it looks very good on a CV. We've even had a number of students now publish research journals, and that looks very good when you're applying to graduate programs. We've had a number of students go to pretty much all the major universities you can think of. Just off the top of my head, of students I know, we've had students go to Cornell and Berkeley and UCLA and San Diego. So we've had many students be very successful and move on to various grad programs. But the one thing that's very important for you to do is to talk to your faculty as well, because all of us have been through that. So it's important to come to us and ask us for advice, and we're more than happy to help you transition from undergraduate to grad school.
Awesome. Is there any general advice that you can offer to a student who is just beginning their studies at CSU Channel Islands?
Yes, and this is the advice I give everybody, whether they're their first year, second year, third year, or fourth year. And that's and the value of it is much higher if you're in your first year. And that is, get to know your professors. Mm-hmm. You're at a very small university, class sizes are very small, and you have a very unique opportunity to get to know your professors. And we have a lot of information to impart to you, whether it's part of the class, come into office hours. We're more than happy to talk to you about the material that we're going over and help you succeed, but also to help you, say, pick classes, help you with career trajectories. Getting to know your faculty helps you, say, be able to then work in their lab to get hands-on experience. It helps you with getting letters of rec later on. Everything kind of revolves around just you getting out of your comfort zone, coming into office hours, and chatting with your professor. So I know it's a difficult thing. I try to coax students all the time to come talk to me, but you do have a unique opportunity. A lot of students who go to universities that are much larger, class sizes are not like 24, they're like 600, and the professors have no idea who you are. That's not the case here. We know our students, and faculty get around, sometimes get together. We talk about students that everyone knew from the past. So we know our students, and we want you to know us as well, because it will help you in your career moving forward.
That's so awesome and so true. I can vouch for that. It really makes a difference, even in your classes, to go and talk to your professors and get to know them. So awesome. And then just a few other questions that I had. So what first made you interested in biology? Like, how did you first get into the field?
I entered the field late. I got when I started my undergraduate career, I started it in engineering. So I was doing electrical engineering with an emphasis in aerospace. And I was very interested in that. I started taking classes, and sometime in my second year, my sophomore year, I realized that it wasn't the focus it wasn't what I thought it was. It wasn't answering the questions that I had in my own head. And I was 20 years old. I was starting to um, uh, think about things that I hadn't thought about before. So there was a period of time where I didn't know where I was going to go. I just knew I wasn't going to do engineering anymore. And just because of association with friends, and also with the classes that I had been taking, since I was in engineering, I was taking chemistry courses, and I was doing well enough in them that it allowed me to think that could be a pathway. I could potentially go down that route, but I hadn't thought about chemistry or biology. But I did have friends at the university who were in studying chemistry, studying biochemistry, and one of them who was studying biochemistry, I happened to have a conversation with them, and it was enough to kind of push me over to go, you know what, maybe I will go that path. The chemistry classes I was taking were interesting enough, and they were largely focused on biochem at that time. And so I started going down that path, and I got a degree in biochem at the University of Davis. And it was very eye-opening. I kind of changed my view on my career path. Not so much like I did change. I went from engineering to biochem, but also it allowed me to know that I can change. I can weave back and forth. I'm not locked in to a very specific career goal. And so actually after that, I kind of moved. I kept moving a little bit away. I went from engineering to biochem to molecular biology to ultimately microbiology. And then I kind of specialized in microbial ecology, kind of moving into smaller and smaller fields. And so, I've always liked biology, but I was never interested in most of my life, not until I was 20 years old when I decided, I'm going to try something else. And there's these like little, serendipitous steps that, just being open to recognizing, keeping your options open. Just by taking a different direction doesn't mean you're going back. And so I'm very happy with the decisions that I made in retrospect. At the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just I needed to do something. I was going to do it. And it seemed like it was reasonable, but I knew that I wasn't locked in. If 2 years from now I changed my mind, I could go do something else. So that's kind of my story of how I got to where I am now and studying biology.
Awesome. And I know you said microbial biology is kind of your main focus. Is there like anything specific that you have studied for a long time, or that you've studied in the past that was just your favorite thing that you've studied?
Oh, I tell this story as well to a lot of students, and that's because I kind of fell backward into the field that I study now. And again, it was through a conversation with a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, because I knew I wanted to go to grad school. I knew I was going to do something. And at the time I was thinking more ecology. There was, at the university I was at, there was a person who studied butterflies, and there was another one who studied lizards. And I was like, oh, that's different than what I've done. I knew I didn't want to do what I was doing. I wanted to do something else. And that seemed interesting. But then I was talking to a friend of mine who told me about another faculty member who studied bacteria, which wasn't interesting. I was kind of moving away from microbiology at the time. And, but they told me that not only they study bacteria in hot springs in Yellowstone. And I was like, oh, that was interesting. Okay, now let me rethink this. Let me rethink my career choices on this, because there was something interesting about that that I wasn't going to be, and I think, and that kind of like registered with me in the sense that I wasn't running away from microbiology or molecular biology at the time. I was running away from the idea that I had to be in a lab all day. And knowing that I had periods of time where I could say, go to Yellowstone and collect samples and run tests out there and then come back and do lab research was intriguing to me. So that's what hooked me. That's what dragged me in. But I didn't have any background in it. Nothing specific in that. So this was when I started grad school and I started learning about it. So I just sat down and I read and I read and I read and I learned, and I knew I had to answer these big questions. I had to run experiments. I had to, write papers and discover things no one's discovered before. And for me to do that, I had to learn about this new topic that I'd never thought about before. Mm-hmm. So I sat there and I studied, and all these things that I learned in undergrad started coming back. I'm like, oh, that's important. I see how that's relevant here, and that's over there. And it was like a puzzle that was coming together, and I started piecing it together, and I started to see where the missing pieces were. And the more I learned about it, the more I liked it, because I understood it. I understood how everything fit together. And at that point, I started to see biology in a very different light. And I started to see how, where the overlaps were and how things were connected. And it just kind of kept dragging me in. The more I learned about it, the more I liked it, the more I enjoyed it. So I've only found my love for like that particular subject, which was just extremophile bacteria in hot springs, very much became a strong passion for a period of time. But now as a professor, I just love biology in general. The more I learn about it, the more it makes sense, the more it fits together, the more I enjoy it. So I'm very happy with my career choice, where this ultimately led me to where I am now.
That's awesome. And then one other question, this will be the last one. What is your favorite class to teach?
It's going to be the most straightforward one, but it ends up being microbiology. I teach my microbiology course. I've taught it almost every semester I've been here, and I've been here for 10 years. And I enjoy it. I enjoy the subject matter. I change it up a little bit just to keep it new and fresh. But it is by far my favorite class to teach. And probably a close number two, I teach a scientific illustration class. So that's kind of my second passion is drawing and art. And so I with the help of another art professor, came up with a scientific illustration class, which I really enjoy. It's a very different type of class than my microbiology class, but yeah, definitely microbiology is my top one. I just have a passion for it. I love it, and I just like sharing that with other people, because most people do not think about microbiology, and the only time they do, they think about it negatively. So I feel like this is like it's a burden I have to bear to educate people, not about just microbiology, but to let people know how beneficial, how useful, how interesting this topic really is. So I do really enjoy it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Fleming, for joining us today. Students, if you have any more questions about the biology program, please visit go.csuci.edu/academics. Bye, and we hope you have an amazing day and that we see you in the fall.